I advance on the Crossing Eurasia route, gradually approaching the northeastern end of the Iberian Peninsula. At Zaragoza, I reached the beginning of the Ebro corridor and turned east, following the valley of the Segre River toward the Mediterranean coast at Barcelona. Along the way, the route reaches Lleida and several smaller points beyond it, still within the same geographical zone. Before reaching Lleida, the route crosses the prime meridian, a human convention rather than a natural boundary. It marks zero longitude by agreement, not by geography, unlike the equator or the parallels that carry physical consequences. Lleida is already in Catalonia and presents its own historical and cultural layers shaped by the local geography. That is what I explore here. I just arrived at Lleida and head to the first point, the Templar Castle of Gardeny. Gardeny was a Templar stronghold, not a palace and not a romantic ruin, but an operational base of a military order. Inside, the architecture is plain and functional. Thick walls, narrow openings, and internal rooms. The purpose was not comfort, but security, storage, and organization. Like other Templar sites, Gardeny belonged to a wider system through which orders could hold territory, manage resources, and support campaigns across a frontier. Rooms, courtyards, and halls were not designed for spectacle, but for logistic and administration. Grain, arms, horses, correspondence, and men. The Templars built here during the medieval frontier period, when Catalonia expanded westward and the Reconquista pushed along this axis. The fortress dominated not by height, but by position and organization. From the roof, the logic becomes visible. Gardeny overlooks the Segre and the approach from Aragon. Across the river, Castle de la Suda holds the opposite hill. Together they frame the city as a controlled point on the corridor toward Catalonia and the Mediterranean. In the center of Lleida, the modern layer appears. The library, the Museum of Lleida, the Church of St. Lawrence, and the commercial main street with the new Cathedral of Lleida. The most significant site is Turro de la Seu Vella, the dominant hill of the city formed as a system over time. From below it appears as a single site, but on top it reveals layers of power built over the same terrain. I'm already in the northeast of Spain, in Catalonia, and this is the first city in Catalonia, the city of Lleida. Here the Islamic citadel of La Suda and the Christian cathedral of La Seuvela stand side by side. Different architectures, different orders, but the same strategic position. La Suda began as an Islamic fortress controlling the Segre and the approach from Aragon. After the Reconquista, the cathedral rose on the same hill, turning the Acropolis into a compound of faith and force. The logic is the hill itself. It occupies the dominant point above the river, able to watch movement through the corridor and impose authority over the city below. From here, Lleida becomes readable. The modern city by the river, the transport lines along the valley, and the corridor tightening toward Catalonia. La Suda marks the fortress component of the Acropolis. It anchors the defensive layer and completes the system. In the logic of Crossing Eurasia, this hill is not a destination but a node, a point where power, geography, and movement coincide before the route continues east across Catalonia. Beyond Lleida, I continue on local roads to several smaller points with deeper historical layers. The first is Fortaleza dels Vilars, built in the Iberian period before the 8th and 3rd centuries before Christ. It served as a pre-Roman fortified settlement. It shows how early communities here used defensive nodes to organize movement and structure the surrounding plains. Further ahead is Roques del Barret, reaching even further back in time. Roques del Barret is a sandstone formation where some blocks form a narrow passage capped by a slab. Its origin is unclear. It could be a natural arrangement or lightly modified by human hands. The form resembles passage-like constructions found in prehistoric contexts across Iberia and the Mediterranean, from the late Neolithic to the Bronze Age, but here no age or function can be assigned. Not far from here lies Poblat Iberic Estinclels, the remains of a 3rd century BC Iberian village. A defensive wall, narrow streets and clustered dwellings reveal a planned community on a small hill above the plain. Long before Romanization, people here structured movement, shelter and water around the terrain. After these points, it is time to leave the area of Lleida and exit the Ebro corridor. The next destination is Barcelona, not as a tourist city, but as the first touch of the Mediterranean coast and the end of the Iberian interior. Follow the route further across Eurasia and subscribe to Journey Beyond the Horizon.